Good morning, everyone. We will be starting with today's EzzyBills webinar. We will be talking about current web applications that EzzyBill has, how you can automate workflows, and how you can save a lot of your time by automating the stuff that is being done currently manually. It's quite easy to do so so usually what happens is once you go in there and once you set the steps as to, for example, there is any task I'm just giving one example. Um, if there is certain bills that you import into EzzyBills, and then you always split them according to multiple departments, and then you assign it to a different category. So it's a manual work, right? In ideal world, what you do, you get an invoice onto EzzyBills, you might be splitting, adding rows, and then you would be adding categories. You can you can just automate this whole thing, and then it will take you a couple seconds to just review it with the automation workflows that we have. This webinar is going to focus on multiple different segments. I will give you a glimpse of all those segments before I proceed to the segments. So you can say on the screen currently, I'm displaying the four different sections that I'm going to go through to this webinar. First, it's going to be a bit generic as to what EzzyBills. I'm going to keep it a more generic, so it applies to perhaps everyone, whether you are a bookkeeper, if you are into inventory control, if you are and if you are a large scale business, if you are software integrator, all of all of these groups can relate to the first point, which is what are the current capabilities of EzzyBills and what EzzyBill wants to do in the near future, like what features we want to build on, what new applications we want to build our integrations with, all sorts of that stuff, and then the automation of workflows, how you can do it, how you can create more workflows. I believe most of EzzyBill's customer at the moment barely use one or two or perhaps three, at max three workflows, wherein you can bring a lot more automation if you've customized the workflows that will suit your need and then just implement them. And it's very easy to just simply direct your bills onto that workflow email address instead of the one standard email address that you would be exporting now. For example, if my business name is Brisbane Plumbing and I have the default EzzyBills email address is brisbaneplumbing@ezzybills1.com. If I create multiple workflows, let's say I want one workflow for splitting invoices, I want one workflow to go through specific department managers approvals automatically, I can create one workflow which will say split invoices and the other one which will say operations department. Then whenever I'm going to send this bill, instead of my default email address, if I send it on to split invoice workflow, which will be Brisbane Plumbing workflow.split invoices, let's say, for example, invoice will be split automatically. The tracking and account code will be added to that splitted lines automatically based on your instructions in the workflow. And then you will see it in your Zero or in QuickBooks or in MYOB that one single invoice will have dedicate like the split that we've designed it, let's say 40%, 40%, 20%. You will see three lines, 40%, 40%, 20% in your connected accounting software, along with the correct tracking, along with correct account code. Isn't that amazing? And then for the second workflow, which I wanted it to go through my operations department, and there are three different managers. I wanted to go to the junior manager, then branch manager, and then the CEO. So I can assign it in the workflow, and EzzyBills will automatically send it first to the first person. Once he approves, then EzzyBills will send it to the second, and then it third. Once the last person approves, it goes into your connected accounting software. On the PDF document that we export, it will have all the stamps and the timestamp and the approver's email address stamped on the bill. So you have a history of the invoice, and on the invoice PDF itself, you have who has approved it, when it was approved. So it's very easy, even when you want to use those documents for audit purposes, it becomes very easy. And then your job is you've saved quite a bit of time because these workflows are doing all the automation for you, and then you don't need to do it manually anymore. So this was one of the example. Um, and in the following sessions, I'm going to focus on three different apps. So the first one is supplier statement reconciliation. Um, Second one is going to be invoice price check. So invoice price check, I'll give you a quick glimpse. So you're dealing in inventory items, and then there is always code that comes in before, and then there is an agreed price for each item code with your supplier. And you want to track whether whenever you actually make that purchase a month later or a week later, and the bill that has come in, you want to cross check it with the agreed price. So the bill can have 10 different line items, and there was an agreed price for that 10 items. You can put that in an Excel file, or you can put that even in your zero in inventory items. And then if you have configured this workflow, EzzyBills will check that each line item unit price, compare it with the price that you have either in your zero, that is stored in your zero, or if you have given EzzyBills a CSV file which has the list of items and prices, EzzyBills will compare these two prices, and then it will give you a report weekly or fortnightly, depending on how you would want it, which will then say expected price was, let's say, $10, actual price is $10, that's a match. Expected price was $10, actual price is $13, invoice price check failed because that's not a match. And then you can keep track of whether the items that you're getting in, are you getting it at an agreed price, or suppliers charging you a bit more, a bit less, stuff like that. So that's where invoice price check reports helps you out with. This third one is Drive integrations, of course. So Google Drive, Dropbox integration, we will be actually seeing it in live. I will be integrating my testing EzzyBills with my Google Drive. We will import one invoice, and then we will do the same for the Dropbox integration. App 4 is going to be email export. So what is email export? If you have bills coming in from different sources, suppliers sending you bills, some of them are coming in paper copy, some of them are your employees uploading using mobile phones. So if you have all these different sources where bills are coming on, and after the process has been finished, after the bill has been exported, if you want to send an email in like notification sort of email wherein, or you want that bill to be sent into an email to, for example, if there's a purchase order and you want to convert that to sales invoice or something like that, then you can have this configured email export wherein wherever you've put this task, EzzyBills will then send an email. You can configure the subject, the test, and then the attachment, and you can then send it for emailing bills, invoices, or receipts. And lastly, it's new features. So you guys can all see here. So soon we will be releasing our OneDrive integration. So just like Google Drive and Dropbox, you can use OneDrive integration to import the documents or even to export the documents. You can have one copy stored in there. All right, so let's straight away jump on to the current capabilities of EzzyBills. Let's go into EzzyBills. All right, so I'm going to take you straight to the applications section. This is on the left where the navigation, you see the navigation menu. If you click on the apps here, all the current EzzyBills apps are listed in here, like API integrations, current applications, and all the features that we have currently. You can all see they are listed in here. And while I will dig deeper into it, in terms of where EzzyBills wants to go in future is where we aim to bring as much automation as possible in the processes that we do, be it accounts payables, account receivables, approvals, all sorts of things. And we're always looking for a new interesting build which will help our customers. Most of these applications and integrations you see, for example, supplier statement or price check, customer order portal, all those, most of these have come from our customers. They come to us asking for a feature saying, oh, do we have this? Do you have this? This is what I need, something, and that they describe what is it that they need. And depending on how feasible it is, we are always happy to build that feature and then release it. So all the features that you see here, at one point in the history, in the last 10 years of EzzyBills, it came to us from our customers. So at any given point, if you have a special requirement which you think is not being catered by any the software, it could be related to approvals, expense claims, could be related to anything that's a business case related. You can always come to us. You can always send us an email, and we're happy to discuss. And then we might be even end up developing that solution for you. All right. So, yeah, let's go ahead and let's just dive into the application one, which is our statement reconciliation. So you can see, so supplier is in general, monthly or so, your supplier sends you bills, you put it through EzzyBills, they go into your zero. And then when you get the statement from supplier, which has a list of invoices, and you want to pull out the status of the bills that are there in your zero. For example, let's say this is a supplier statement that I have received. Now, in my case, I just have about 5 bills because it's a testing statement. But if you have multiple bills, maybe 20, 30, 50, and you want to see what is the status of each invoice number, each bill that supplier has sent you, you can easily use EzzyBills to do that. What EzzyBills will do, once you send this supplier statement to EzzyBills, it will capture all the invoice numbers total, and it will go into your accounting system, look for that particular invoice number, and then it brings back the status of that invoice number to you in a reporting format. So let's go ahead and let's process this supply statement. So how will we do it? I'm going to go in statement reconciliation here. You can say how to. It just says send an email to, and there is a special email address which contains .app.sr, right? What I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this email address. Then I'm going to send it onto email, right? I'm just going to attach the supplier statement. That's it. I'm not writing any subject, nothing in the email body. I'm just going to send it straight away, right? And then what happens is, as soon as your email, it will come into EzzyBills. It might take about a minute or so. EzzyBills will extract that PDF. It will extract all the invoice numbers. It's going to go into your zero, bring out the status for each invoice, and then it's going to show you into a report format in your dashboard or even in your search approve. So let's give it a while. Let's see if EzzyBills has processed it. All right, so it has just come up 28 seconds ago. Let's give it about a minute to process. As you can see, this test is being conducted live. So the time that you will see here is the actual time that EzzyBills takes to process supplier statement. Also, it depends on how many invoices you have. If you have somewhere around 50, 40 invoices, of course, it's going to take a bit longer, but it should be done within minutes. There you go. So now it's about a minute. It's just been a minute, and then we can see it says successfully exported SR report. Now, if I click on this SR report, now you don't need to necessarily use dashboard. I usually, whenever I'm giving a demo or whenever I'm talking to my customers, I usually tell them to go to search approve because that's more authentic. You get a lot of bills and stuff. Dashboard is just utilized for either dragging and dropping bills in here. And if you have multiple accounts, you can just switch from the drop down from the dashboard screen. Uh, this all you see is just 10 recent bills. And then there are some colors to make the dashboard look beautiful, right? That's all there is. The third use of dashboard is you will always see a number in here. If there are anything pending in EzzyBills, if something has come, the document has come inside EzzyBills, but it has not been processed, then you will see it here, 1 more to process, 10 more to process, etc., etc. So let's use the search approve screen. And it says the same thing, successfully exported SR report for Sydney Tools Private Limited. I'm going to click on this SR report to actually view the report. Now you can say, let me bring up the PDF file as well. So this is my PDF file. As we can see here, all the invoice numbers have been captured by EzzyBills from the PDF file. And then we've also got the status of all these 5. It's 5, 5, all right. So in the status, it says this particular invoice number is in authorized state. This one is unpaid. This one is again authorized, and these two are in draft state. Now, if you want to view this in zero particular, now this one is paid. I want to check which was the bill that I've paid. I'm going to click on this zero link here, and then it's going to take me straight through that bill. Right? And then I can see, okay, this one is paid one. If I want to see the PDF, I can simply see the PDF here, right? In the same fashion, if I want to see now this $1,000 bill, it's in draft. I want to see this bill. I'm just going to click on zero. That this is that bill. So it's quite simple, quite straightforward. The only condition here would be when your supplier statement comes in, the ABN is very important. As long as you have the ABM and the supplier name, which matches with one of your Zero or accounting system suppliers ABN name and ABN, as long as it matches, it will always work. If at all the ABN is not present and if the name is something different, in that case, it might not work because then EzzyBills does not have an ABN to link it with your Zero supplier. We have a question here, which is supplier statements email, is that unique to the client? Yes, that's correct. So if you have multiple accounts, now I have multiple accounts here. Now you can see I am into Tech Advisor now. If I go and see the email, it says username, which is TechAdvisor.app.sr@ezzybills1.com. Now, if I switch my account, now I have switched it to a different account. And if you see here, the format of the email address is going to be the same, which is first part is username, and then it's .app.sr@ezzybills1.com. Right? So it's always better, although you know the format, it's username.app.sr. I would always recommend that whenever you want to process a supplier statement, if you have multiple accounts, go into the correct account, go into the apps, just copy paste that email address. It's always the best technique to do. So if you go there and type, you might type a few letters here and there, and then it's not going to work. It might process as a bill. So as long as you send it to the correct email address, it will always work. All right, moving on, the next topic that comes in is price check report. Right. So now to configure the price check report, we will need to add the task in the workflow. Now, this is going to be a bit advanced, whereas I'm going to create a workflow in front of you to give you a picture of how we handle workflow. However, if you think it's difficult, you need not necessarily need to create it yourself. You can always get in touch with us and we would be happy to do it for you. So this, yeah, whenever you log in into your EzzyBills, on the left, you will see support email address. Simply send an email to our supports team and we would be more than happy to assist you with it. Now, my account is connected with Zero and I want to do price check on certain inventory bills that I'm going to process. I'm going to go ahead and customize that workflow. So first, we will go into workflow, right? And so the next thing that we do is this is your default workflow. Whenever you go to workflow, you will always have an active workflow, which is your default. Now I want to add price check to this workflow. If I find the task here, price check. This is invoice price check, correct? This is invoice price check task, which we use. However, since this is my active workflow, you can see this is active and default. It's not recommended to edit your active workflow at any given point, simply because you might have current documents that are in process in your account. And if you change or if you edit your active workflow, all those documents will get affected and you will need to reprocess those documents, right? So we're better off creating a new workflow. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use this new option and I'm going to copy this Zero Bills workflow and I'm going to hit create. Now you can see it says copy of Zero Bills. And there is few other options that we have. Now the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to rename this to, let's say, price check bills. You can rename it anything that you like. And since each workflow has its own special email address, for this one, you can see this email address, techadvisor.workflow.pricecheckbills@ezzybills1.com. Now, while renaming, if you use a shorter name, then the first part, which is username, is always constant, and then it will be .workflow, which is the second part of the email. And the third part is what you give name to this workflow. You can keep it short, so your overall email would be short. Right now, I have renamed this. Now I'm going to save this workflow. So far, we created a new workflow using new option. We copied the current default, which was Zero Bills. Now let's go ahead and add invoice price check. Invoice price check, there we go. Now, where will I add this task? So you want to add it just before you do the export or after the extract, correct? So whenever the workflow starts, extract is the task where EzzyBills extracts all the information, forms the table, assigns the inventory code, account code, stuff like that. So you want to position it between extract and export. So now to position it, I'm simply going to select this line and delete it because I don't want these two straight away connected. I want this invoice price check task to be in between these two. Once this line is deleted, it's really very easy. I'm going to just put my mouse here. So as soon as I move my mouse cursor on this one of the black dots you see, it turns white. And then I'm going to click. And then while having my mouse click, drag it and just put it on this invoice price check task and it's done. So one part is done. Now we want to connect invoice price check task with Zero export. So let's go ahead and let's do that. The connection is done. Click Save. It will automatically realign itself. So now you have your workflow, right? Like extract, then invoice price check, then zero. This is the bit of where you customize the workflow. The next bit comes in where you tell EzzyBills. Now you can just go through this, right? It gives you two different options. it tells you this EzzyBills will either use parts data from your accounting or inventory system, or you can upload a file, right? So if you have a price list file, it should be in this format: the part number, the description, and the price. Once you have it in CSV, you can simply upload that CSV. If I have, yeah, there we go. So I have uploaded that CSV here. I'm just gonna click on upload price list. That's it, done. And then you click on save. So as soon as that is done, your file is uploaded. If you don't want to use price list, then if you want to use file, you need to click use my price list. If you want to use your existing data from zero, you do not need to update any file. Simply untick this one and save it as is, right? As long as you have done these settings, and then you go to EzzyBills, and then you process the bills on that particular workflow by sending bills onto that workflow, it will always do the price check. Now, let's go and see how the price check looks. Now, whenever you want to see the price check report, you can go into apps. Let's say it's been 7 days or 15 days and you want to see the price check report. You just need to go to apps, price check report, either send an email. You don't need to attach anything or anything. You can even send just price check report, a simple email with simple subject line, or you can just click on start. As soon as you click on start, it will show price check report started, and then it's gonna start. It's gonna take a bit, and then it will show you the price check report, and then it's gonna look something like this: price check report, rah rah rah, and then you just click on that price check report to see the report. This is how EzzyBills will show you the report. You can drag this to see all the items. Now, you see the doc ID here, you see the supplier here, the invoice number here, and then you see the details of the price check. So price check failed 505. That means there were 5 line items on the bill, and all of them, the price check has failed. That means the price that was expected and the actual price on the bill was different. So if you want to dig deeper in details, have a look at this example. So for the 630th, the price on the bill was $11.73, whereas the expected price or the agreed price with the vendor was $9.04. So it gives you a report for all the line items, for all the bills, like all the bills that you will process. It will give you a report as such. Let's say this M60, this is the item from this bill, this invoice number. The expected price was 83 cents, but the actual price on the bill, the supplier, when he sent the item, was $1.03. And this report is also emailed to you. So if you have a look, there we go, price check report. The same report you also get over email. We have a question here. So Caitlin's asking, will it also work with my account, right? Yes, it does. So these are pretty standard features, right? They work with all the accounting systems. Even if it's MyOb or QuickBooks or Xero, as long as you have the item configured in your MyOb, if you want to use MyOb items, or if you have a price list file, then you can straight away upload it in the EzzyBills, and it will always EzzyBills will always extract each line, compare it with your price list, and then it's gonna print it in the report. So whenever you get the report, once in 7 days or once a fortnight, you will exactly get this report along, like for each invoice. If there was a price difference, it will just highlight it. And then you can take it with your supplier, or depending on how you would want to process it, you can always go ahead with that. But the workflow customization is really required. It's quite easy to do. I have recorded this video. I will be sharing this video with all of the attendees. You can have a look at it and implement this step by step? Good question, Shirin. So Shirin's asking, do we need to create a new workflow for checking supplier statements? No, not really. The two features work very differently, correct? So in supplier statement, you're just giving us a statement. We're going into your zero. We're bringing you back the status. So there is no workflow needed. The only criteria for processing a supplier statement is you email the supplier statement onto the correct email address. It's built in, it's on default. The workflow for that is on default for that email address. You don't need to create any special workflow for supplier statements. In terms of price check report only, because we will be comparing stuff, showing you stuff, and then forming a report, you will need to add the price check task in your workflow. So yes, just in case of price check report, you will need to create a new workflow. So you can add that task in, and then you can set the new workflow as your default workflow as well. So all the bills that you process, EzzyBills will do the price check wherever it's applicable. So you might process utility bills which does not have items. So price check is not applicable. So EzzyBills will not do anything there. But whenever EzzyBills identifies that these are item codes, I have these item codes in the file given by my client, then we will do the price check and then we will give you the report. All right, so moving on to the Google Drive and Dropbox integrations. It's quite interesting and really easy to integrate your Google Drive or even the Dropbox. So I'm going to start with Google Drive, right? And since in the same browser, so I have my EzzyBills logged into this Chrome browser, and I also have my Google email address logged into the same email, into the same browser. That's the reason when I will go and connect the Google Drive, it might not ask me to put in my login email and password because I'm using the same browser and it already has those details. So to connect your Google Drive, as I said, all the applications features, you're gonna find it in the apps section. So first, let's go to the apps. And in here, you can see third last row, we have this Google Drive. I'm gonna click on Google Drive, and it has a few instructions here. So this app allows you to connect with your Google Drive. Once connected, create a folder in Google Drive, EzzyBills Upload, and any invoices that you put into that folder will be processed by EzzyBills. Quite simple, quite straightforward. So what I'm going to do, since it's asking me to create a folder, we will need to create a folder in Google Drive with this name. So I'm just going to copy it and keep it ready. When I'm in my Google Drive, I will create this folder. So let's go and connect. I'm going to click on connect. Now it has taken me to the sign in screen. And since I am already logged in with quite a few of my email addresses, you can see it's there. So I'm just going to choose the correct one because I want this email to connect with my EzzyBills. And it shows you standard, your standard warning wherein you connecting, do you want to connect, etc., etc. So I'm just gonna click allow, and that's it. So EzzyBills is now connected to your Google Drive. Congratulations, it's done. You need to add the folder EzzyBills upload to your Google Drive. Let's do this. I'm just going to copy this one. And I'm going to keep this screen for a while until I'm done with creating that folder. So I'm going to go into my Google Drive. There we go. And then in here, I'm simply going to click new folder. I have copied that name. I'm just going to paste it here and create. Right now, I've created that folder. There we go. folder is created. I'm inside that folder. I'll close the screen. Now what I'm going to do in this one, I'm just going to drop a bill for testing. So let's say, well, this one looks nice. I'm just going to drop this one. There we go. Again, what we did so far was we went into the apps. We went into Google Drive. We click connect Google Drive. There was a button here. We click connect. It took us to our Google Drive login screen. We put in the additional details, and then after it was connected, it EzzyBills said create a folder with this name. I copied that name. I came into my Google Drive, created that folder, and then I've dragged and dropped one bill. Not necessarily you need to just drag and drop one bill. You can always, if you have 100 bills, you can feel free straight away drop 100 bills in your Google Drive in that folder. EzzyBills will extract it, right? So let's say, let's give it about a moment. It's just gonna go out of this. EzzyBills upload there. All right. And meanwhile, while it's doing the integration and it's connecting, it's extracting the bill, we will quickly go and do the same process for Dropbox, right? Now, I am showing you how you can connect on the same EzzyBills account. In your case, it might not be necessary for you to connect one EzzyBills with both. If it is, you can always connect it, it's supported. So I'm just gonna do the same process. I'm gonna click on Dropbox. It's gonna show me connect button. I'm gonna click on connect, which will take me to Dropbox login screen. Now here, I'm just going to click continue with Google. You can always choose any of the options. You can choose your email password of your Dropbox. I'm gonna click continue with Google. Just gonna give access to my Google account. And then it's done. Now, interesting thing about the Dropbox is, in case of Dropbox, you do not need to create this folder manually. EzzyBills will do it for you. Now, we'll quickly log into my Dropbox. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, these folders have already been created by EzzyBills, and you can see added just now. That means when I connected my EzzyBills just now, EzzyBills automatically adds these two folders. All you've got to do is you got to go into this EzzyBills upload. You can drag bill, let's say drag a bill, there we go. And that's it, done. Then what EzzyBills will do is, as soon as you put it on EzzyBills upload folder, EzzyBills will extract the bill, process the bill, and once the process is done, extraction and the bill is processed, EzzyBills moves that bill from upload folder into done folder. Correct? So in order to keep them separate, in order to avoid double processing, we will move it automatically, and you don't need to worry about getting it processed twice. So you can see the bill is already here. This one's Dropbox one. I'm just going to refresh again. Refresh my Google. Yeah, there we go. The Google one is it the same? Yeah, it's the same one. Correct. So the Google one has also come through. Dropbox is definitely faster than Google in terms of integrations. As you can see, in under a minute, we've got the bill. We've processed it already. So this was Scott Electrical. And then now EzzyBills must have moved this bill into, yeah, there we go. It's now into EzzyBills done folder. So that's how this integration works. The same works for Google Drive. In about a little bit of time, when the processing is done, there will be a new folder which EzzyBills will create. EzzyBills done, and then it moves the bill from upload to done folder. You can use Drive for multiple uses. If you're storing the bills, you can import bills and you can process it. At the same time, if you want EzzyBills to export bills and store a copy of each bill that you have processed on EzzyBills, we can do that as well. So we can customize your workflow to irrespective of the sources that you're getting your bill. Someone is using mobile phone to upload. Your suppliers are sending them through email. You are sending them through email. If there are multiple sources, you're getting the bill in. After it is processed, we can export it and store one copy to either Google Drive or Dropbox. It's a simple workflow customization. Takes us really, 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. So if you're interested in doing that, you can always, just send us an email and we will do it for you. I can go ahead and show you how to do it in workflow, but I'm a bit reluctant as to it could be a bit technical. So it's always better if you just send us an email to add the Google Drive to add that export in your workflow, and we will do it happily for you. So just to quickly show you, you can see if I type Google Drive export, that's the task which what we will do when you come to us saying, oh, I want my bills to be exported and stored onto Google Drive. What we're going to do, we're going to customize your workflow and have this task added at the end. So once the export's finish, we will export that bill and then we will put it onto your Google Drive. Same goes for the Dropbox. And yeah, as I said before, we will be like in about a couple of months or so, we would be releasing OneDrive integration as well, which will work exactly in the same fashion. When it comes in, you will see it in the apps. There will be one more icon which will say OneDrive. You will click on OneDrive. It will show you the instructions on how to do. Mostly it will be the exactly same as the Dropbox. You click connect button, you put your details, your folders are created, and then you just start putting bills in there. And then we extract those bills from your drive. Matt is asking, is there an integration with OneDrive or Teams? Well, the OneDrive integration is currently in the development phase. We should be able to release it in about a couple months from now, and then will be available. It is definitely with OneDrive, not with the Teams at the moment. So I'm moving on to the next point. But so the last point that comes is email export task, right? Now for that, I'm going to take you again into workflow, and I'm going to show you what the task does. Email export. So if you click on this, so what I've missed on saying is whenever you want, if you want to find a certain task or if you want to add it to the workflow, this is the list of tasks, right? If you drop down, you will see all the tasks that EzzyBills has and everything that we have, right? You will see quite a few things in there like work guru, export, match PO, claims, batch invoices, quite a few things in there. This is where all the customizations happen that the support team does. So I'm gonna go here and type the tasks that I want, and then I'm gonna, as soon as I click on the particular task, it will be available for you to include in your workflow. For now, let's go ahead with email export. So exports to email, that's what it does. The invoice will be attached to an email and sent to the following email address. Now, you can use this in various cases wherein if you want a notification to be sent for with that invoice, if you want to forward an invoice from EzzyBills to any other CRM software that you use where you want like a job management service mate or any other job management software where you want to send that invoice automatically after it's been processed into your Xero, QuickBooks, or Mayo, you can use this task. You can configure the name, email address, who do you want to send it to, and the email subject, what do you want to write. And if you click on include all attachments, then the email that had come to EzzyBills with attachments will be forwarded, re-forwarded to the details you have mentioned here. The ideal use case of this would be wherein you're using two different systems. So you're using EzzyBills for maybe extracting line items, processing invoices into your Simpro or your Zero or your Ascora, different software. And then you want that invoice to go to a different CRM, which you also use, could be for job management, could be for your workforce management. You can use these options to get that email exported. At the same time, if you wanted to send it to someone, let's say operations team or your admin department, you can use this, and then EzzyBills will process the document, and then it will export that email to to the email address that's mentioned here, and then it will send along with the all attachments. So you don't have to manually, you don't have to wait till the process is done. You can just let EzzyBills know that I want to forward this to XYZ email address. EzzyBills will take care of it. And again, it's very easy to incorporate this task. So if I want to add this particular task in the same workflow that we did, let's say price check bills, I want to have those invoices sent to operations team, or I am using ServiceMate and I want to use upload email address of ServiceMate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add that task here, email export. There we go. I'm gonna drag it all the way to the end, then repeating the same process. I'm gonna remove this arrow, connect zero export with email export, and then connect email export with finish, and then save. Now you can see what's gonna happen in this workflow, which we have created is, as soon as the invoice comes in, first, the price check report runs. EzzyBills checks all the line items, item codes, checks the price, and stores it to give you in the report for a later stage. Then EzzyBills exports it to zero. And then once you fill these details in, who to send it to, what it should be the subject, whether to include or attachments or not. After it's exported to zero, you can send it to other job management, inventory management, or any other department you want to send that email to. And those bills will be exported to that email. So you can automate the whole process with this customization. And these, I could show you quite a few, like I could show you only a couple customizations, right? So as I said before, if you're using split invoices, if you have, if you are a big company, you have multiple departments, each department has their own manager, each department has their own rules based on invoice amount, if it's less than 10,000, more than 10,000, et cetera, all those can be customized in workflows and can be completely automated with the workflows. All right, so that brings us to towards the end of this session. Thank you everyone for attending this webinar. As I mentioned, if you have any questions or any queries, feel free to call us, feel free to email us, and we would be happy to help you. Thank you for your time. Have a great week.